All right, let's get into something really interesting today. Welcome to the deep dive, our mission. We're taking a close look at a piece of gear that really pushed things forward, the EarthQuaker device's C machine. We want to figure out how this one pedal kind of reimagined chorus, becoming what they called a chorus machine. We've got some great history and insights to draw on here.
Yeah, and what's fascinating, I think, is how they didn't just tweak an old idea. They really asked, what else can chorus do? It's not just about the pedal itself. It's about, innovation in sound design. Taking something familiar and just blowing it wide open. It really challenges how musicians might think about using modulation,
Yeah,
right?
that's a perfect way to put it. It really sets the scene for where it came from. So let's go back early 2010s. EarthQuaker Devices, founded by Jamie Stillman in Akron, Ohio. They were already building this reputation, boutique builder, doing things a bit differently. And the key thing right from the start is that the C Machine wasn't meant to be just another Boss CE2 or small clone. Those are classics known for that specific lush sound. But this was designed, like you said, as a chorus machine. The idea was to go beyond that shimmer, push it into more experimental places, almost synth-like sounds, ambient textures.
Exactly. And that name, chorus machine, it immediately tells you something, doesn't it?
Right.
It signals this departure from just copying old circuits or making tiny adjustments to about giving musicians a much bigger toolkit, basically. And that mindset, that ambition from a boutique company, that's really central to its whole story and why people still talk about it. It encouraged you to mess around, not just dial in the chorus sound.
So how did they actually do that? How did they make that jump?
Well, the circuit design is where it gets really clever, especially in the V2, which is kind of the one everyone knows now.
Mm-hmm.
It's got this hybrid approach. It uses a digital LFO, the low-frequency oscillator. That's the part creating the modulation, the wobble.
Right, the control part.
Exactly. And this is crucial, the actual path your guitar signal travels through that stays completely analog.
Ah, okay. So you keep that warmth.
You keep the warmth, the richness of your original tone, while the digital brain handles all the complex modulation patterns. And that mix gives it this huge range. It can do subtle classic chorus, sure, but it can also stretch into things that sound more like flanger or these big spacey reverb-like washes. And the controls are where you really unlock all that potential. The V2 has 6 knobs. Let's maybe break those down. First, animate. You don't see that on every chorus. It changes how wide the pitch sweep is. So more animate means more dramatic pitch bending, sort of a deeper wobble.
Gotcha. Affects the intensity of the detune, basically. Precisely. Then dimension. This one adds a kind of spatial depth. It feels almost like adding a bit of reverb. Makes the sound feel bigger, more room-filling.
Okay. So not just modulation, but space too.
Right. Intensity is probably the most standard one, just controls the overall depth, how much effect you're hearing. Pretty straightforward.
Okay.
But then shape. This one is really unique. It morphs the LFO waveform all the way from a smooth sine wave, think classic gentle chorus,
Like ocean waves, yeah.
to a really hard, choppy square wave. And that square wave is key for the weird stuff.
That's where the robotic sounds come in.
Exactly. That mechanical, almost stuttering effect. Totally
Yeah.
different from standard chorus than rate, controlling the speed. And the range here is huge.
Yeah.
Super slow, evolving swells.
Or crazy fast, almost like a ring mod.
Yeah, or tremolo territory even. Really wide range. And
And it-
finally, depth, which is your wet drive land. You can go from just a tiny hint of effect to completely drenched in modulation.
And that combination, especially having animate dimension and shape together, that's what really sets it apart. It kind of begs the question, right? How do these specific knobs work together to make it so flexible? It's not just depth and rate like on old pedals. It gives you this really fine-grained control. You're not just picking a flavor of chorus. You're like actively sculpting the modulation itself. It's about intentional sound design, which wasn't always the focus with older chorus units.
Absolutely. And when you start turning those knobs, the variety of sounds is pretty wild. Like we said, keep things tame, keep shape towards the sine wave, and yeah, you get beautiful, warm, classic chorus, like a CE2 vibe, or maybe even a tri-chorus thing if you dial it right.
So it covers the basics well.
Totally.
Yeah.
But then you start pushing animate and dimension. Suddenly you're getting these huge, swirling ambient washes, real shoegaze territory, reverb-like textures filling everything up.
Creating atmosphere.
And then if you go all out, crank the rate, flip the shape to square. You get those sounds people talk about, mechanical clicks, robotic sequences, that detuned seasick vibe. Really unstable, kind of unsettling sounds.
Stuff you definitely wouldn't expect from a pedal-labeled chorus.
Not at all. So what it means for a player is you're not just buying one sound, you're getting this massive palette. It invites you to experiment.
And that's the power of it, I think. It encourages that experimentation. It gives musicians those aha moments, finding sounds they didn't know they could get from a chorus-style pedal,
Hmm.
being able to go from lush to weird all in one box. That's incredibly useful for anyone trying to find their own sound, push beyond the obvious choices. It really shows how blending different ideas, analog path, digital control, unconventional parameters can lead to something genuinely new.
And it wasn't just an instant hit in its final form, it evolved a bit. The first version, the C Machine V1, came out around 2012. People noticed it immediately for the sounds, the flexibility. It was definitely unique, but the enclosure was bigger back then. You know how pedal board space is.
Always tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that early EQD size could be tricky.
Right. So then around 2016, they brought out the C Machine V2. And that really became the version. They moved it to their standard, smaller box with the top jacks, much more pedalboard friendly.
Huge improvement for usability.
And they added relay-based soft switching, quieter, more reliable switching,
Yeah.
plus some tweaks for circuit stability. Small changes on paper, maybe, but they made a big difference in how people could actually use it day to day.
Oh, absolutely. Those practical updates were like critical for it reaching a wider audience,
Mhm.
making it smaller, putting the jacks on top, making the switching better. That stuff matters hugely to gigging musicians.
Mhm.
It took it from being this cool, slightly awkward boutique thing to being a really viable, reliable tool you could just stick on your board and trust. That practical evolution was just as important as the sound design in terms of its overall success and legacy, I think. It let the innovation actually get into people's hands easily.
And it certainly found its audience, who ended up using this thing. Well, it became a huge favorite for shoegaze and ambient players naturally. Those genres just eat up that kind of lush, deep, sometimes weird modulation.
Makes sense. It fits right in.
Yeah, artists looking for those big atmospheric textures. You hear about players like Nels Cline from Wilco using EarthQuaker stuff. He's known for experimenting.
Right, he definitely explores a lot of sonic territory.
But it wasn't just them. Indie rock, post-rock guitarists really took to it too. A lot of players found it was so versatile, it could almost cover for a delay or a reverb or even a flanger sometimes if you were trying to keep your pedal board small.
Yeah, that multifunction aspect is really appealing.
Definitely. That versatility is probably the biggest takeaway.
And looking back, the C Machine really stands for, chorus reimagined for the modern era. They didn't just rehash the past. They actively expanded what chorus could be, pushing it into ambient and experimental zones. And doing that really helped put EarthQuaker devices on the map as like a major player in boutique modulation. Alongside pedals like the Dispatch Master or the Avalanche Run, it cemented their reputation for innovative, great-sounding stuff. It's genuinely one of the most versatile chorus pedals out there that can do the subtle stuff, the really seasick wobble, or just create these enormous modulated soundscapes. It covers so much ground.
So wrapping up our deep dive on the EarthQuaker Devices C Machine, what we've seen is it's way more than just a standard chorus. It really is a modulation workstation. With those unique controls, animate, dimension, that shape knob especially gives you this incredible range. Classic shimmer, yeah, but also huge ambient washes and those really unique, almost robotic pitch effects.
Definitely covers a lot of bases.
And its evolution to that V2 form, making it practical and reliable, that really sealed its place. It's become one of the standout boutique chorus pedals from the 2010s. Just a great example of creative design.
And it leaves us with a really interesting question for you, the listener, to think about. When you look at a classic effect like chorus, something we think we know so well, what other musical tools, what other effects maybe, could benefit from that same kind of radical rethinking, being pushed way beyond their traditional roles? How much creative potential is still hiding in familiar sounds, just waiting for someone to approach them from a completely new angle? Something to ponder.
That's a great thought to end on. Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time. Keep exploring those sounds.